Gentlemen, let me tell you something that most of us don't realize until we've already been hurt or burned. Relationships are complex, but one thing is for sure. If someone is playing games with you, they're not showing you the respect you deserve. If you're getting mixed signals, confusion, and constant emotional turbulence from someone, it's time to shift your mindset. It's time to take back control and treat them in a way that respects you, your worth, your value, and your future. In this world of instant gratification and manipulation, some people will try to play games with your emotions, and that can be draining. But let me tell you, you have the power to decide how you're treated. So if she plays games with you, here's how you need to step up and handle it. Gentlemen, remember this. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how you react. If she plays games with you, treat her with clarity, with confidence, and with respect, but never at the expense of your self-worth. You are the architect of your own life and relationships, and you have the power to decide who gets to be a part of your journey. So the next time you find yourself caught in a game, step back, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this how I want to be treated? If the answer is no, then it's time to choose a different path. A path that leads to growth, respect, and genuine connection. When it comes to relationships, many men mistakenly believe that they need to constantly chase after someone who isn't showing them the same level of commitment or interest. However, this approach does not only undermine your value, it also drains your energy and self-esteem. If she's playing games with you, it's essential to shift your mindset and stop chasing her. The truth is, you are not a hunter, you are a chooser. In any healthy relationship, both people should meet on equal terms, offering each other genuine connection, care, and respect. Chasing someone who is emotionally distant or playing games isn't just exhausting, it's also a sign of imbalance, where one person is consistently giving while the other takes. When you stop chasing, you take back control of your emotional energy. It's about realizing that your worth is not dependent on whether she reciprocates or not. You are already whole, and your value doesn't increase or decrease based on her actions. So instead of pursuing her, focus on yourself and your goals. Invest in your growth, your passions, and your purpose. When you are deeply connected with your own life and what matters most to you, you naturally become more attractive to others. You don't need to chase, because the right person will be drawn to you through your energy, confidence, and the sense of fulfillment you radiate. It's also crucial to recognize that chasing signals a lack of boundaries. When you keep pursuing someone who's indifferent or inconsistent, you're telling them that you are willing to tolerate their behavior, regardless of how much it hurts you. But when you stop chasing, you set clear boundaries. You show that you will not allow someone to take you for granted and that you deserve someone who is as invested in the relationship as you are. This doesn't mean being rude or cold, but rather not tolerating emotional manipulation, mixed signals, or unbalanced efforts. Moreover, the act of chasing often comes from a place of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of missing out, or fear that if you don't keep pursuing, she'll disappear for good. But here's the thing, when you chase out of fear, you are giving away your power. You are attaching your sense of worth and happiness to someone else's actions. True power comes from the realization that you don't need anyone to complete you. You're whole and enough as you are, and if she's not treating you with the respect you deserve, it's her loss. Chasing, especially when the person is playing games, leads to frustration and disappointment because you are constantly giving without receiving the same level of effort or emotional investment in return. If she's playing games, there's a good chance she's testing boundaries, waiting for you to show how much you'll bend to her whims. But when you stop chasing, you show her that you won't be manipulated. It's a silent yet powerful way of communicating that you are not desperate for her validation. In the end, relationships should never feel like a constant chase. They should feel like a mutual connection where both people are eager to show up and be their best selves for one another. By stopping the chase, you are putting yourself first, cultivating the self-love and respect necessary to attract the right person who is ready to build something meaningful with you. When you find yourself in a situation where someone is playing games with you, it's crucial to set clear and firm boundaries. Boundaries are not about being rigid or punishing others, but about protecting your peace, your energy, and your emotional health. They are a way of telling the world, and the people in it, how you expect to be treated. If someone is manipulating you or not showing you the respect you deserve, it's vital to let them know that you will not tolerate it. The most effective way to do this is by creating boundaries that prioritize your well-being. Establishing boundaries begins with understanding your own needs, values, and limits. When you're clear about what you want from a relationship, it becomes easier to communicate those expectations to the other person. Many people, especially in emotionally charged situations, fail to communicate their needs effectively. This often leads to frustration, confusion, and resentment. However, when you establish healthy boundaries, you set the stage for a relationship that is based on mutual respect and understanding. The power of boundaries lies in their ability to protect you from emotional manipulation, mixed signals, and unhealthy dynamics. If someone is playing games, they are testing your limits to see how far they can push you without facing any consequences. By setting boundaries early on, you are making it clear that you won't tolerate any behavior that doesn't align with your values. For instance, if she is being distant and then suddenly hot and cold, it's important to communicate that this behavior is unacceptable and it leaves you feeling uncertain. When you do this, you are taking responsibility for your emotional health and making it clear that you expect consistency and respect. Boundaries also have a powerful psychological effect. They allow you to maintain control over your emotions and reactions. When you are clear about what you will and won't tolerate, you are less likely to be swept away by someone else's inconsistency. Instead of reacting emotionally to her games, you can calmly reinforce your boundaries and stick to them. This not only protects you from emotional turmoil, but also helps you remain grounded, knowing that you are standing firm in your values. Another important aspect of boundaries is that they allow you to remain in control of the situation without needing to exert force or control over the other person. Many people mistakenly believe that to enforce boundaries, they must be aggressive or controlling. However, boundaries are not about forcing someone to behave in a certain way. They are about expressing your needs and then choosing to either continue or end the relationship based on whether those needs are being met. For example, if she keeps canceling plans at the last minute or giving you mixed signals, you have the right to tell her that this behavior is unacceptable to you, and if it continues, you will no longer engage. By setting and maintaining boundaries, you also demonstrate self-respect. You're telling the world that you value yourself enough to not put up with behavior that undermines your peace of mind. Healthy boundaries are not just about keeping people at a distance, they are about allowing the right people into your life. People who treat you with kindness, consistency, and respect. They help you cultivate relationships that are grounded in trust and mutual understanding. When someone continues to play games with you despite your clear boundaries, it's a clear signal that they are not ready or willing to treat you the way you deserve. By setting and enforcing boundaries, you create the space to walk away from toxic situations without guilt or doubt. You'll find that you attract the right people who respect your boundaries and show up in your life as equals, not as emotional manipulators. At the end of the day, boundaries are the key to creating relationships where both people are emotionally safe, valued, and empowered. Confidence is one of the most attractive traits a person can possess, and it's something that doesn't require external validation or approval. When someone plays games with you, whether it's through manipulation, mixed signals, or emotional roller coasters, it's easy to feel insecure or question your worth. But here's the truth. Insecurity in response to such behavior only fuels the cycle of manipulation and confusion. Confidence, on the other hand, is the antidote. It empowers you to take control of the situation without losing your sense of self or becoming emotionally entangled in someone else's games. Confidence is the ability to stand firmly in who you are regardless of what is happening around you. If she's playing games, your response should not be one of desperation or emotional fluctuation, but of inner certainty. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or unshakable all the time, but you must have a solid understanding of your value and refuse to let her behavior undermine that. When you know your worth, you don't second-guess your decisions. And you certainly don't chase after someone who doesn't respect you. Instead of letting her emotional inconsistency rattle your sense of self, you become the one who is emotionally grounded and in control. A confident person understands that their happiness and sense of fulfillment are not dependent on someone else's actions. If someone is playing games, it's easy to become fixated on them, trying to understand their motives or figure out what they really want. This is a trap. Instead of overthinking or trying to decode their behavior, a confident person chooses not to engage in the drama. They recognize that their emotional energy is better spent elsewhere, on their own growth, passions, and well-being. Confidence comes from living a life of purpose and meaning, and that purpose doesn't revolve around pleasing or chasing anyone. Being confident also means having the strength to set clear boundaries, as mentioned earlier, and sticking to them without hesitation or guilt. When you act from a place of certainty about who you are, others take notice. People are drawn to those who are self-assured because they exude an energy of stability, authenticity, and emotional intelligence. Confidence isn't about arrogance or being unapproachable. It's about knowing that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. When someone is playing games, they might be trying to test your limits or gauge how far they can push you. A confident person won't play into this. They'll keep their composure, hold their ground, and walk away if necessary. The key is realizing that you have nothing to prove. If she's not treating you with the respect you deserve, it's not a reflection of your value, but of hers. People who are confident don't internalize rejection or mistreatment. They understand that not everyone will appreciate them, and that's okay. Confidence is about recognizing that rejection or emotional games are part of life, but they don't define you. Your worth is intrinsic, not conditional on how anyone else treats you. A confident person also knows when it's time to walk away. They don't beg for attention or validation from someone who isn't offering it. Confidence is the courage to walk away from situations or people who are not serving your highest good, even if the fear of loneliness or rejection creeps in. By walking away, you're not showing weakness, you're showing strength and self-respect. Confidence isn't about being the loudest or the most assertive. It's about having the quiet inner strength to remain true to yourself, no matter what others do or say. In the context of games, confidence becomes your armor. When you are emotionally secure and rooted in your own value, the manipulations of someone else lose their power over you. You can approach the situation from a place of calm, knowing that your sense of self is unwavering. You don't have to chase, you don't have to beg for respect, and you don't have to play into the drama. Instead, you stand firm, make decisions that honor your boundaries and walk away when necessary, all while maintaining your dignity and peace of mind. Confidence isn't something that can be easily shaken by someone else's erratic behavior. It's the foundation that will carry you through the turbulence of emotional games. When someone plays games with you, it's easy to become emotionally reactive, especially when the behavior is unpredictable or confusing. You might find yourself caught in a cycle of excitement and disappointment where one moment she's warm and affectionate and the next she's distant or unavailable. This kind of emotional turbulence can lead to a roller coaster of highs and lows, and if you're not careful, you can lose your sense of stability. However, the key to navigating this situation is to not let her behavior control your emotions. You are the one who is in charge of how you feel, and by refusing to let her games dictate your emotional state, you can maintain your peace of mind and control. The first step in not letting her control your emotions is to develop emotional self-awareness. When you become aware of how her actions make you feel, whether it's frustration, confusion, or anxiety, you can take a step back and recognize that those emotions are coming from her behavior, not from something inherently wrong with you. It's easy to internalize someone's actions, but the reality is that her unpredictability is her problem, not yours. When you refuse to let her behavior dictate how you feel, you take back control. Instead of being a passive participant in the emotional drama, you become the active creator of your own emotional experience. One of the most powerful tools you can use to stay in control is to practice emotional detachment. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent to her, but it means not allowing her to pull you into emotional ups and downs. When she's hot and cold or when her behavior is inconsistent, remind yourself that you don't need her validation to feel secure or happy. Instead of reacting to her shifts in mood or attention, create space for yourself. Take a step back, breathe, and allow yourself the time and mental clarity to evaluate the situation without becoming emotionally entangled. Emotional detachment doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means acknowledging them without letting them control you. Another key to maintaining emotional control is to focus on your own life and purpose. When you're deeply connected to your own goals, passions, and interests, you naturally become less dependent on someone else's behavior for emotional fulfillment. If her games are throwing you off track, refocus your attention on what's important to you. Whether it's your career, personal growth, or friendships, make sure that your emotional well-being is rooted in something solid and consistent. When you're living a life of purpose and meaning, you are less likely to be swayed by someone's erratic behavior. It's also important to recognize that emotional control is about choosing how you respond. If she plays games and you respond with frustration, anxiety, or desperation, you're giving her the power to affect your emotional state. However, if you respond with calmness and composure, you maintain your sense of inner peace. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending that everything is fine, but rather acknowledging your emotions and choosing not to act impulsively based on them. For instance, if you feel hurt by her actions, take a moment to process that pain before reacting. Instead of sending a text filled with anger or confusion, give yourself time to think so you can respond from a place of clarity and confidence. An essential aspect of emotional control is also learning to let go of the need for constant reassurance. When someone plays games, they may be testing your reactions or trying to make you seek validation from them. This can lead to a constant cycle of needing approval or seeking answers, which only fuels emotional instability. However, when you let go of this need, you allow yourself to be free. You no longer feel like you're on a constant emotional treadmill seeking something external to feel okay. Instead, you develop internal validation and self-assurance, which means you no longer rely on someone else's behavior to define how you feel about yourself. In summary, not letting her control your emotions requires self-awareness, emotional detachment, and a focus on your own life. By refusing to let her games dictate your emotional state, you create space for yourself to maintain clarity, peace, and confidence. Emotional control isn't about avoiding feelings, it's about choosing how you respond to those feelings. When you take back control of your emotions, you stop being a passive participant in the game and become an empowered individual who is no longer at the mercy of someone else's manipulation. When someone is playing games with you, whether through mixed signals, emotional manipulation, or inconsistency, it's easy to start doubting your worth. You might find yourself justifying their behavior or trying to understand why they're acting the way they are. However, this often leads to the cycle of settling for less than you deserve. Settling for less in a relationship is a form of self-sabotage, and it's important to recognize that you are worthy of far more than what you may be accepting in the moment. Every person deserves to be in a relationship where they are valued, respected, and appreciated. When someone plays games with you, they are signaling that they are either unwilling or incapable of providing that respect. Rather than clinging to the hope that things will change, you must recognize that your standards should not be compromised for the sake of a relationship. Your emotional energy, time, and effort are valuable. And when someone isn't showing up with the same level of respect or commitment, it's crucial to acknowledge that this is a reflection of their limitations, not yours. Often, people settle because they fear being alone, or they convince themselves that the relationship will eventually improve if they just hang in there long enough. This mindset can be dangerous because it keeps you trapped in a relationship dynamic where your needs are not being met. You end up staying in a situation where you are constantly giving without receiving the same level of effort in return, and this imbalance can erode your sense of self-worth. The longer you stay in this cycle, the harder it becomes to break free, and the more you reinforce the idea that you don't deserve better. Settling for less also stems from a lack of belief in your own value. It's important to understand that you do not need to beg for someone's attention or validation. Your value is inherent and doesn't depend on whether someone chooses to treat you well or not. If someone is playing games with you, it's their inability to show up as an equal partner, and it says more about them than it does about you. Recognizing this distinction is essential in building a mindset where you refuse to settle for anything less than what you deserve. You are worthy of being treated with consistency, respect, and love. And the longer you stay in a situation where that is not the case, the more you diminish your sense of self-respect. It's crucial to build a strong foundation of self-love and self-respect, which comes from knowing your worth and not allowing anyone to undermine it. When you don't settle for less, you stop tolerating behaviors that drain your emotional energy, whether it's mind games, emotional unavailability, or lack of clarity. Instead, you create the space for relationships that align with your values and offer the mutual respect and emotional fulfillment you deserve. Furthermore, not settling for less means you are taking ownership of your happiness. You are in control of the type of relationship you allow into your life, and you have the power to make decisions that prioritize your well-being. It's empowering to walk away from situations where you're not being treated in a way that reflects your true worth. In doing so, you make room for healthier, more fulfilling relationships with people who are capable of giving you what you need. People who are ready to show up with the same level of commitment and respect that you are willing to offer. Ultimately, not settling for less is an act of self-respect. It's about refusing to accept behavior that doesn't align with your values and standards. When you know your worth, you stop seeking validation from others and start living with the confidence that you deserve a relationship that contributes positively to your life. Settling for less is not a sign of love, it's a sign of self-neglect. Choosing to stand firm in your standards is the first step toward creating a life filled with relationships that honor and elevate you, not drag you down. One of the most important aspects of dealing with someone who is playing games is to never lose your sense of independence. Independence is not just about being able to stand alone, it's about cultivating a strong sense of self and making sure that you never become emotionally dependent on someone else for validation, happiness, or self-worth. When someone is emotionally manipulating or playing games with you, it can be easy to become consumed by the relationship, constantly thinking about their actions and seeking their approval. However, this behavior only leads to a loss of your own identity and emotional control. You must prioritize your independence and make sure that your own life is fulfilling and complete without needing another person to define it. At the core of independence is the belief that you can find fulfillment in your own life independent of what someone else does or doesn't do. When you base your happiness and self-worth on someone else's behavior, you lose control over your emotional state. If they're distant one moment and affectionate the next, your mood swings with theirs and you're left at the mercy of their whims. However, when you have a strong sense of independence, you stay grounded no matter what happens with them. Your mood, your sense of peace, and your happiness do not depend on their unpredictability. Instead, you can choose to remain calm, focused, and centered because you are rooted in your own sense of purpose and fulfillment. Independence also means maintaining your own interests, passions, and hobbies. When you're constantly focused on someone else and how they are treating you, it's easy to neglect your own personal growth and desires. However, by nurturing your own hobbies, spending time with your friends and family, and pursuing your career or personal goals, you ensure that your life is rich and meaningful on its own terms. You no longer feel the need to rely on anyone else to make you feel complete. Instead of constantly looking to her for emotional fulfillment, you focus on cultivating a life that brings you joy, satisfaction, and growth, regardless of her behavior. And another aspect of independence is the ability to make decisions for yourself based on what's best for your emotional well-being. If someone is playing games with you, it's easy to get caught up in confusion and second-guess your decisions. You may find yourself trying to analyze every action, wondering if you should give her more space or if you should chase her more to get her attention. A strong sense of independence means that you trust your own instincts and don't rely on her behavior to tell you how you should act. You make decisions based on your own values and desires, not on the hope of changing her or getting her approval. Independence also involves the strength to walk away from situations that aren't serving you. If she continues to play games and you find yourself in an unhealthy, emotionally draining situation, an independent person will recognize that this is not something worth investing in. Rather than staying in a toxic or manipulative relationship in the hopes that it will improve, you take the brave step of letting go and moving forward. Your sense of independence empowers you to walk away from emotional chaos and focus on what truly adds value to your life. Lastly, independence helps you maintain a sense of emotional safety. Emotional dependence on someone who isn't offering consistent care or respect creates vulnerability. You open yourself up to being hurt because you're too invested in their approval or affection. When you are independent, your emotional safety is no longer in someone else's hands. You're able to protect yourself from the harm that emotional manipulation can cause. By developing a sense of emotional independence, you not only strengthen your resilience, but also protect your peace and happiness. In essence, maintaining your independence when someone plays games with you ensures that you never lose yourself in the relationship. You are able to preserve your identity, your emotional health, and your life's purpose, while also giving yourself the freedom to make choices that align with your values. Independence doesn't mean rejecting relationships. It means creating space for relationships that are healthy, supportive, and built on mutual respect. By staying independent, you protect your emotional well-being and ensure that you're always in control of your own happiness. When someone is playing games with you, whether it's through inconsistency, manipulation, or emotional unavailability, it's easy to get caught up in the cycle of trying to understand their behavior, seeking answers, or even attempting to please them. However, one of the most powerful actions you can take in such a situation is to stop seeking approval from the person who is playing games with you. The desire for approval is natural. After all, we all want to feel valued and loved. But when your sense of worth becomes dependent on someone else's validation, you set yourself up for emotional distress, confusion, and compromise. Seeking approval from someone who is not treating you with respect or consistency only allows them to continue to manipulate the situation, as it gives them power over your emotions. Approval-seeking behavior often stems from a deep desire to feel validated or accepted, but this can become a trap when you are constantly looking to someone else to fulfill that need. It's easy to forget that your value is not determined by someone else's opinion of you. When you stop seeking approval, you break free from the emotional roller coaster of uncertainty and manipulation. Instead of looking for signs that they care or trying to interpret their behavior, you begin to focus on your own emotional well-being. This shift in perspective allows you to step outside the cycle of emotional dependency and start making decisions that are in alignment with your needs and boundaries, not based on the hope that their approval will make you feel good enough. Another significant reason to stop seeking approval is that it empowers you to act in alignment with your own values. When you are constantly looking to the other person for validation, you may find yourself compromising on your principles or tolerating behavior that doesn't sit well with you. You might ignore red flags, overlook inconsistencies, or tolerate manipulative actions because you are focused on winning their approval rather than sticking to what you know is right for you. By stopping the approval-seeking behavior, you make it easier to stand firm in your beliefs and expectations, knowing that you are not dependent on their actions for your own happiness. Your emotional safety, dignity, and well-being become your top priority. Not seeking approval also means that you are no longer at the mercy of their emotional games. If someone is playing games with you, they may intentionally use your need for validation to keep you hooked, making you feel unsure or insecure and keeping you guessing about their true intentions. This keeps you constantly in a state of uncertainty, which fuels anxiety and makes you more likely to tolerate their behavior in the hope that you can win their affection or attention. When you stop seeking approval, you stop allowing their inconsistent behavior to affect your emotional state. Instead of feeling anxious about what they think, you focus on what makes you feel good, what aligns with your needs, and what supports your sense of self-worth. Moreover, stopping the need for approval allows you to become more self-reliant. You recognize that your happiness and self-esteem don't hinge on someone else's actions or opinions. You take back control of your emotions and realize that you have the ability to give yourself the approval you've been seeking from others. This shift towards self-acceptance is incredibly empowering. Instead of needing constant reassurance, you begin to trust in your own judgment and embrace the truth that you are enough, just as you are. This internal validation creates a foundation of confidence and security that no external approval can provide. It's also important to recognize that seeking approval from someone who is playing games is counterproductive. The more you seek their validation, the more they may feel empowered to continue the manipulation. In a healthy, balanced relationship, validation and approval are mutual. However, when someone is not treating you with respect or consistency, any approval you gain from them may be fleeting and unreliable. The approval they give you is likely to come in the form of mixed signals or temporary affection, which only perpetuates the emotional instability and confusion you feel. Stopping the cycle of seeking approval means you can create a healthier emotional dynamic where you are no longer dependent on someone who doesn't prioritize your well-being. Ultimately, by stopping the need for approval, you take your power back. You no longer wait for someone to validate your worth or make you feel secure in the relationship. Instead, you trust in yourself and in your own judgment, knowing that your value does not depend on whether someone else sees it. You stop tolerating behaviors that don't align with your standards and begin prioritizing your own needs and emotional health. The more you release the need for approval, the more you free yourself from the toxic cycle of manipulation and uncertainty, allowing you to build relationships that are grounded in mutual respect, trust, and authenticity. In relationships, especially when someone is playing games with you, it's essential to understand that emotional manipulation and inconsistency should never be tolerated. When someone is continuously testing your boundaries, providing mixed signals, or using emotional tactics to get what they want, it's a clear sign that they are not respecting you or the relationship. By refusing to tolerate such behavior, you take a stand for your own emotional well-being. It's crucial to recognize that you don't have to accept mistreatment in any form, no matter the circumstances or how attached you may feel to the person. You are in control of what you allow into your life, and the power to walk away from toxic situations is yours. Tolerating manipulative behavior only reinforces it, giving the other person the message that they can continue treating you this way without consequences. Over time, you begin to lose a sense of self-worth because you allow someone else's actions to dictate how you feel about yourself. By refusing to tolerate games, you assert your value and set a precedent that you will not accept emotional abuse or inconsistency. It's about drawing a line in the sand and letting the other person know that your emotional health and boundaries are non-negotiable. The moment you stop tolerating such behavior is the moment you regain your power. Another reason why it's important to not tolerate emotional manipulation is that it fosters self-respect. Self-respect is built on the understanding that you are worthy of love, care, and consistency. When you allow yourself to be treated poorly, you send a message to yourself that you don't deserve better. On the other hand, by refusing to tolerate games, you show yourself that you value your own emotions, time, and energy. This commitment to self-respect creates a foundation for healthier relationships in the future, where you are treated with the kindness, honesty, and respect that you deserve. Additionally, tolerating someone's emotional games also stunts your personal growth. When you stay in a relationship where you are constantly subjected to mind games, emotional inconsistency, or manipulation, your focus is diverted from your own goals, dreams, and self-development. Your energy becomes consumed with trying to decode their behavior or figure out what you did wrong. This constant emotional drain leaves you with less mental and emotional capacity to invest in yourself or your personal goals. By refusing to tolerate such behavior, you free up mental space to focus on your own growth. You no longer waste time trying to fix or change someone else. Instead, you put that energy into nurturing your own happiness, success, and emotional health. Another critical aspect of not tolerating emotional manipulation is that it allows you to protect your peace. When you tolerate someone's games, you invite unnecessary stress and confusion into your life. Your emotional state becomes unstable as you constantly react to their unpredictable behavior. By setting boundaries and refusing to tolerate their games, you create a space for peace and clarity. You stop letting their emotional fluctuations dictate your mood, and instead you maintain a sense of calm and balance in your life. Protecting your peace means choosing not to engage in drama or chaos, and instead focusing on what brings you stability and joy. Moreover, refusing to tolerate emotional games allows you to attract healthier relationships. When you stop accepting mistreatment, you send a clear signal to the universe and to others that you are not willing to settle for less than you deserve. As a result, you begin to surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and offer the emotional stability and consistency you crave. You create space for relationships that are mutually fulfilling, where both parties are committed to showing up with honesty, vulnerability, and emotional maturity. The act of not tolerating games becomes a filter, helping you recognize and attract people who are ready to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. Lastly, not tolerating emotional manipulation also fosters empowerment. When you make the conscious decision to not put up with games, you take back control of your life and emotions. You no longer feel like a victim of someone's erratic behavior. Instead, you recognize your strength in walking away from a situation that doesn't serve your highest good. This empowers you to make decisions that are in line with your values, to stand firm in your boundaries, and to trust in your ability to choose relationships that bring out the best in you. Empowerment comes from knowing that you deserve to be treated with respect, and that you have the ability to walk away from situations that compromise your peace, self-worth, and emotional health. In summary, refusing to tolerate emotional games is an act of self-preservation. It's a decision to prioritize your emotional well-being, self-respect, and personal growth. By setting clear boundaries and no longer accepting mistreatment, you take control of your emotional state and create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships. You stop giving power to someone who is manipulating or playing games, and instead empower yourself to live a life filled with peace, self-love, and respect. In the end, the key to thriving in any relationship is knowing your worth and never compromising your standards for anyone, no matter how strong your feelings for them may be. You have the power to choose how you allow others to treat you, and by standing firm in your boundaries and refusing to settle for games or manipulation, you take full control of your emotional well-being. You deserve consistency, respect, and love, not confusion or emotional turmoil. Remember, your peace, happiness, and sense of self are invaluable. By refusing to tolerate games, seeking approval, and letting someone else dictate your emotions, you empower yourself to create a life filled with clarity, strength, and meaningful connections. And as you build your own sense of independence and self-respect, you'll naturally attract the kind of relationships that align with your values and elevate you as an individual. Stay strong, trust your worth, and always protect your peace. You have everything it takes to build the life and relationships you truly deserve. Keep moving forward with confidence.